It's been a while since we've just talked about the state of the Tailosive network, and of course, there's been some changes, so without further ado, let's begin. So in retrospect, we apologize for not updating the artwork and kind of the channel design sooner, but January 1st, which is when we normally do the whole channel refreshes, was a very busy time of year for us, and we did not really have much planned in terms of redesigned layouts. There weren't a lot of ideas for updated artwork and that kind of thing, but some time has gone by, some schedules have been freed up, and now we've been able to kind of listen to what a lot of people have been asking for, both with the intro, with the music, and while I don't think backgrounds should ultimately matter that much at the end of the day, my hope is that you're watching these videos and you like watching me because of something I have to say, not just because of my very poor wall decorating capabilities. But we should have a bit more background variety, I guess, moving forward, depending on the subject of the video at hand. And because there's only so many different layouts or so many different graphic designs we can apply to the channel, I'm not sure if we're going to keep refreshing things every 12 months, similar to the iPad Pro lineup. Probably expect every 18 to 24 months moving forward. Gives us some more time to get creative with layouts, background setups, and that kind of thing. But I also want to address the skits, because I know I've talked about them in posts and in live streams, but a lot of you guys who don't have time to read all those or watch the entire streams haven't gotten that many answers from me. So for the past month now, I've basically been incorporating these little comedy skits to the intros of my tech videos, and despite my best wishes, I can't get enough of you to unsubscribe and stop watching this channel, but it absolutely did split the audience, and I've run polls on this, and believe it or not, I actually do try to make videos that you guys want to see and listen to the audience best I can, and the majority wanted the skits to stick around. I do apologize to that 30% who is not in favor of the skits, who say it's pushing you away from the channel and you're not interested in the direction it's going, but the whole tech community as a whole is kind of at a crossroads right now. I mean, it's not just me. If you go around on Social Blade, look up some of your favorite tech YouTubers, you'll notice that there's a general decline in the tech community as a whole, and a lot of YouTubers probably don't want to talk about this on camera because they're convinced that it's someone's fault. You know, YouTube's not notifying my subscribers, or the algorithm is punishing us tech community people. There may be some of that going on. I'm not going to pretend to know what's happening, but what I can say is pretty clear and obvious is that the tech space is progressively getting a bit less interesting, at least on the daily side. I could kind of compare the tech community a little bit to like the movie theater industry, where, yeah, when there's a new Marvel movie coming out, that will bring out a bunch of people to the theater, but aside from that, probably not that many people are watching movies at the theater anymore. Similarly, in the tech community, yeah, when there's a big Apple event or a new iPhone is coming out, that's when there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of interest and a lot of eyes on the tech community, but all of those months in between the big Apple events, in between the Apple announcements, have gotten pretty dry and will likely continue to get dry because Apple, Samsung, Google, they're all kind of struggling to come up with reasons for people to upgrade their devices. Most of this channel and most of the tech community is kind of built around the smartphone business, and smartphones, and even more than that, smartwatches, tablets, laptops, computers, are all kind of maturing. They're all kind of reaching this fine age point where there's very, very few changes year over year, and that of course means there's less for us to talk about. And it's also worth mentioning that YouTube as a platform is competing a lot more now with short form content like TikTok, and there's less and less watch time as an entire website being recorded than what there used to be, because we're now competing with other forms of social media that are taking more people's time. So because of these issues with the tech community getting less interesting because the hardware is less exciting and there's less meaningful announcements, you know, even when there is a big Apple event, we kind of know everything that's going to be announced, and a lot of the changes are getting more and more minor year over year. YouTubers who are building their careers and their livelihoods around the tech community have a difficult decision to come to, and I'm sure you guys have already seen some of the different strategies and approaches that these channels are taking. You can either lean harder into the clickbait and start acting like things that are not that big a deal are a big deal, start kind of believing or being more gullible towards a lot of the fake leaks and rumors to make it sound like Apple's biggest announcement ever, their biggest hardware launch of all time, is right around the corner, and you just start falling into that trap of making everything feel like a big deal. Or you can just kind of be realistic and be honest, but maybe we lean harder into the sponsorships, because a lot of channels that are full-time have budgets and employees and rent and expenses that they have to cover, so they start doing more sponsorships. You start hearing more about VPNs or Squarespace or whatever subscription service that you've heard a million times you're gonna continue hearing about, or Raycons. Oh my god. That's just gonna be bombarded more and more, which I think is just gonna drive people away from the community even further, because the news itself is not that interesting, and when you try to watch videos on the news, you're just gonna be bombarded with even more commercials than before. So I'm not really interested in leaning harder into clickbait or leaning harder into sponsorships. I'm more interested in trying to get us, the community, and me closer together so that we feel like we have a solid friendship and are enjoying the content that's being produced and enjoying the discussion that goes on between the viewer and me. I've found that the skits have enabled me to be more creative with the videos I make, and also helps me navigate the drier news cycle. So I know some of you out there have commented, you know, it's okay to do skits once in a while, but don't do them on every video. Maybe what I could do a better job explaining is that a lot of the videos that had the skits in them, which, you know, were all of them over the past month, are because I don't think I could do a video on that news story if there wasn't a skit. Something simple like iPhone 14 display suppliers. You know, I don't think I could have just hit record and not do any comedy bits and just talk about suppliers and their bottlenecks for maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It would be a very, very short and not very interesting video, but once I get thinking about how there's like almost different personalities that shine through between Samsung, LG, and BOE, I can think of a little dynamic or a little skit of how they interact with Tim Cook, and now that video can turn into something of decent length, and hopefully there's an audience there that finds it entertaining, and also people who are interested in the tech space will find some of it informative, and they'll go, okay, I laughed, and I also learned some things about the iPhone 14 situation. For the record, I totally get for some people who don't like the skits. They're very different, they're not what I've done in the past, and yes, they can be somewhat cringy. I've even cringed myself doing some of them, but knowing that most of the audience is in favor of them, and the challenge enables me to cover more topics that I wouldn't normally be able to cover if I decided no skits today, I don't feel like doing a comedy bit at the beginning, then that kind of closes doors on topics I'm willing to cover. So I understand that I may lose some of you, and I totally accept that the audience of the tech community itself is shrinking quite a bit, and we kind of have to lean into our specific niches. You know, the comedy skit channel, or the channel that gets really, really into the weeds on tech specs and Geekbench results and, you know, comparisons. If there's less things to talk about, we can either, one, post less often, but I'm not really in favor of that. My brain doesn't do well with working on videos that take like a week to produce, or I know some of you are gonna suggest just focus on quality instead of quantity, but all that really results in with the kind of videos I do, which are very idea and speculative based, is come up with more creative B-roll, and I'm not really that interested in just spending more money on cameras, lenses, and lights just so that I can have prettier B-roll, because I know we're never gonna compete with the MKBHDs or Unbox Therapies of the world. They're always gonna have better equipment, better camera quality, and I'm just not that interested in coming up with really elaborate ways of filming the same phone 80 times. No, I have lots of ideas that I want to cycle through, and I want to bounce off of you guys, and I want to do that on a daily basis. I'm not interested in just scaling back videos because, well, there's nothing to talk about, so I'm just gonna post once a week. You guys get less content out of that, so what I'm trying to do with this ever-changing tech community is find something that I can enjoy talking about, because that's how I know I can do it a lot, and something you guys can appreciate and enjoy watching. So for those who aren't in favor of the skits and that's pushing you away, I hope you can at least understand and respect why I'm doing them, even if there's not much entertainment value in it for you. And that's why I include the chapters in the beginning of the video, so the people that just want the short form, read the news, just read the headlines, and don't provide any commentary or any skits around it, you can skip the intros and you can just get right to the information if you desire that. That's the best compromise I can really offer, but I'm not really in favor of getting rid of them entirely, because again, then I just wouldn't cover a lot of these very, very small niche news stories. But don't worry about me, because I'm literally investing more of my time and money into the EV space as a whole, so I'm kind of comfortable with Apple and computers and smartphones and stuff turning into more of a niche demographic, and that's what it seems to look like for the YouTube space, and I don't think we're in a tech news drought. I think this is the new normal, and as far as news stories go, it will probably even get worse over the next few years until we have another big Apple Glass announcement or something like that. But there's a lot of growth and potential for expansion in the EV sector, and I'm already seeing that with my EV channel. In case you weren't aware, we're actually going to be taking delivery delivery of a Tesla, hopefully next month, and covering the ownership experience of that and the autonomous driving capabilities. And there's still a long way to go before EVs, I think, have matured and reached the peak that smartphones have, because basically everyone has a smartphone now. Same thing with tablets and laptops. You kind of buy the ones you're interested in, and then year over year there's just minor little changes here and there. But with EVs, there's a lot of people that don't have them yet, and I'm convinced they're the future of automobiles. So there's a lot to talk about there, and that's where I'm being a bit more informational and strategic with my videos, instead of just saying what makes me laugh and what's, you know, entertaining to me at the end of the day. So if you're interested in more innovation and more game-changing tech, I would say, once again, check out the EV channel, because I find that far more fascinating in terms of just the raw pace of change and innovation. But in terms of the consumer tech world here, yeah, I guess expect more skits. That's gonna be a pretty consistent thing with my videos. Maybe not every video, you know, if I'm in a rush, I may just bypass it one day. But I hope you guys appreciate the new artwork, and big thanks to Wouter, who helped develop it for me for the entire Tailosive network. And I hope you enjoy the variety in backgrounds so that they get mixed up a bit more than just, you know, the same exact angle every single day. I'm trying my best to be the creator I want to see, and I know that not everybody wants to see the same creator that I do, but my hope is that by, you know, creating more content for the channel members who are supporting me directly, that I can continue to keep this as a dream job, my full-time job, thanks to you, and the community and I can be made closer, instead of trying to wedge more sponsorships or more dishonest clickbait in between us for the sake of, well, I gotta pay the bills. Thanks again tremendously to everyone who supported this channel over the years and made this a full-time job. I just want you guys to know I do not take that for granted, and that's why me and my wife focus very closely on lowering expenses and investing in things that will lower our monthly budget. That way we can continue with the content production being a full-time gig and making videos for you regularly, so these discussions and these videos can come to your inboxes every single day. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you in the next one.